My husband told me he lost his job, he said sadly. But hey, that might not be so bad. We can still turn things around. Just ignore that sneaky boss. We'll figure things out ourselves. I'm Sammy, by the way. The other day, I said yes, yes when the microwave beeped, and my daughter looked at me funny, saying, "Mom's talking to the microwave." It felt weird being caught off guard like that. But with gadgets like Alexa and Siri, talking to machines isn't unusual anymore. It was embarrassing because I didn't even realize I was doing it. But hey, compared to some of the really embarrassing moments I've had in the past, talking to the microwave isn't such a big deal. This happened about 15 years ago when I was working at a small but prestigious company. The company was known for its expertise in specialized tasks, like creating programs to keep computer systems safe. It had a good reputation with big companies, and its performance was solid. Back then, the internet wasn't as common as it is now, so there was a lot of potential for growth, especially in areas like security. People expected the company to keep doing well. During this time, I met Simon, who is now my husband. He was a colleague, and we eventually got married. But even before we tied the knot, I had to deal with unwanted attention from the company's president. I've always been seen as attractive, even from a young age, and I'd often got noticed by photographers for magazines when I was out and about. Unfortunately, that also meant I attracted the wrong kind of attention from some men, including the president. Because of that, I've never really liked my own looks. Even a simple good morning from me would be exaggerated by the president, who would say things like, "You're such a good girl," always greeting me with a smile. He'd brag about it to others in the company. The president was 48 years old at the time, bald, with what little hair he had left slicked down on his forehead. But he seemed content with his appearance and didn't seem bothered about fixing it. He wasn't very nice, and he treated employees he didn't like with arrogance, while being friendly to those who were useful to the company or those he found attractive. He had a bossy way about him, which created divisions among the staff. Whether it was good or bad, his behavior made me feel uncomfortable. But since he was my boss, I had to find a way to get along with him. Dealing with a man who wrongly believed I was dependent on him because I reported to him for work was tricky. I tried to avoid getting too close to him to avoid any misunderstandings. However, when I announced my marriage to my husband, the president began persistently asking me out for meals. Even though we kept our relationship at work secret, people who knew about us knew. But the fact that the president increased his invitations at this time showed he hadn't realized I was married until then. It was just things like feeling his eyes on me or hearing from others that he liked me. I initially tried to handle it gracefully, but it became a problem when his invitations got more intense. He suggested going to fancy restaurants, drinking expensive wine he bought, and even going to bars with private rooms. He kept asking when I would go out with him alone, making things awkward and uncomfortable for me. Even after I kept saying no to his invitations, the president didn't stop. He thought I was playing hard to get and teasing him on purpose, calling me names like Little Devil. His invitations were so obvious, he just wanted to get me drunk and take advantage of me in private. It was clear it had nothing to do with work. If he suggested going to a busy park near a police station and asked me to drink water while licking salt, which I hated, I might have considered it as a work obligation, but ultimately, I wouldn't have gone. One day, I couldn't take it anymore. I told him straight out to leave me alone because it was bothering me. I had avoided saying this before because I didn't want him to realize I knew about his interest in me, which would complicate things even more. But that day, I was too stressed, and my true feelings slipped out. As expected, the president just laughed and tried to touch me. He said I knew all along and was teasing him on purpose. His touch made my skin crawl, and without thinking, I pushed him away and ran off. Originally, my husband was concerned about the president's behavior and suggested I quit my job. But I insisted on staying because I wanted to support my husband, who was the top technician in the company. He's working on a new system that could greatly improve our company's performance, and I wanted to be there to see it through. Switching companies after quitting wouldn't have made sense for me, so despite the uncomfortable situation with the president, I chose to stay. However, it was time to put an end to it. The next day, I handed in my resignation letter, addressing it to the president. I had already discussed everything with my husband the night before, and he strongly encouraged me to resign. So, with determination, I confronted the president. But he didn't accept it. Instead, he tried to convince me to stay by offering higher pay and a better position. He even made weird suggestions like promoting me to be the president's wife, which made me uneasy. I told him I was married and tired of his advances, but he seemed to twist my words, implying that I secretly loved him. It was frustrating. I never saw him that way. I thought maybe he felt threatened by my husband and was trying to keep me close, but that conversation just made me more determined to leave. The president accepted my resignation, saying I shouldn't have to work as just an ordinary employee when I'm going to be the future president's wife. He took my letter and left the office. It was clear he didn't understand anything. Blaming my husband made no sense. But wait, isn't this unexpectedly lucky for both me and my husband? Just married, and now I'm out of a job. When my husband asked what was wrong, I smiled and said, "Well then, congratulations." I suggested to my husband that since he was developing a system to find suitable customers for the company, and without him, the data wouldn't be updated, maybe it was a good opportunity for us to start our own business. He was surprised at first, but then laughed and agreed, saying I was clever. We could work together again. After getting fired, my husband wasted no time. Within 30 days, just like the president said, we used our savings to start our own business. During this time, my husband reached out to the talented people from our old company, basically recruiting them to join us. The bald president, who didn't even know how to use a computer, often didn't understand the struggles we faced and would give us impossible tasks. So when my husband asked them to join our company where they'd be understood and valued, almost everyone agreed, except for the higher-ups the president favored. If I had stayed at the old company, I might have been stuck there too. Following my husband's lead, he developed a new and improved version of the system he'd been working on before. With his connections, he not only secured jobs, but also created 2 new security systems, selling them to other companies. In an industry with few competitors, companies naturally wanted the best products, so our workload quickly grew. Within 4 years, our company became the best in the business. Everyone at our company was thrilled with our success. Then, out of nowhere, the president showed up at our office one day. Reluctantly, my husband led him to his workspace, which also served as the president's office. Worried, I went along too. My husband asked the president what he wanted, and the president immediately bowed and apologized with tears in his eyes. He said he'd been watching us for the past few years and realized that I really didn't like him. He genuinely regretted his actions. The president explained that the previous company was in financial trouble, short-staffed, and making employees work long hours without paying them properly for overtime. At this point, I didn't really care about getting an apology. My husband is making more money now than he did at the old company, and he's increased the salaries of our employees. We're happy with where we are now, so the president's apology didn't matter to me. It felt like a waste of time. When my husband asked if the president had anything else to say, the president got off the sofa, sat on the floor, and begged. He pleaded for my husband to come back to the old company, saying that with him there, things would improve. But my husband calmly refused. He said that ever since he got fired, he's no longer an employee there and has a responsibility to protect the people at our own company, so he couldn't go back. The president kept pleading, even offering to step down and have his company merge with ours. But my husband said no. He explained that what the president did to me in the past was wrong and hurtful to female employees' morale. Nowadays, overworking is criticized, and actions like the president's are considered unacceptable. Back then, it might have been seen differently, but now it's clear it was wrong. He mentioned how victims were often silenced or blamed, and he couldn't forgive the president for what he did. The situation with overtime was different. Until then, it was common for companies to ignore labor laws and make employees work long hours. But as laws changed and people started seeing long hours as harmful, the president's actions could have serious consequences if reported. At first, he begged not to resign, but he eventually realized he couldn't stay as the head of the company. The president stepped down, and my husband took over, merging his company with ours. All the employees came with us, and we sorted out the unpaid overtime. Since our company was doing well, it was a relief. The president's company didn't pay much for overtime anyway, so the amount owed wasn't huge. We came out on top. When you suggested starting a business after I lost my job, I never imagined we'd grow so much that we'd surpass the president's company. I'd always believed in your abilities. Really? Or are you just trying to boost my ego? I teased my husband. No way. You caught me, he replied with a smile. As we talked about our journey as a couple, I felt genuinely relieved that everything had worked out so well. Later, it came out that someone leaked the conversations for the president's office, including his embarrassing actions towards me. This, along with the issue of unpaid overtime, made it to the local newspapers. It didn't make it to TV news because it's a small company, but more people read local papers than watch TV or read famous magazines. The president became a laughingstock in the community, and kids started playing a game called Playing President, where they pretended to flirt with a reluctant girl. It was embarrassing for him, and if he saw it, he'd probably feel even worse. He was divorced and had a teenage daughter. When she heard about the game, she seemed upset and ran home. Having a creepy father must be tough for a sensitive girl like her. It's like he's facing consequences for his own actions. Now, the president lost his company and his daughter, and he can't get a good job because he doesn't know how to use a computer. He's working as an office worker in a local factory, but he struggles with basic tasks. He's even serving tea to the female president there. It's quite a fall from his previous position. He used to order female tea servers around, but now he's the one serving tea. He probably never imagined he'd end up like this. The employees who joined our company from the president's old one find his downfall pretty amusing. They're not feeling sorry for him at all. Meanwhile, my husband and I have been blessed with 2 children. Our daughter is quite the chatterbox and loves teasing me when I get distracted during phone calls or talk to the microwave. She's cheeky but adorable. Our son, who's a year younger, seems to have a knack for computers like his dad. Even at his young age, he's already dabbling in creating small programs. So we think he has a bright future ahead of him. It would be great if he eventually took over the company, but right now, he's more interested in being a YouTuber, working for Uber Eats, or delivering pizzas. Wait, son, aren't there any other options? I often ask him. Despite the chaos of parenting, we cherish our happy family moments every day. So, how did you like our story? Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more updates. See you in the next video.